Hey everyone, this is A Fistful of Vinyl. I'm Alec and I'm here with Apes of the State. How's it going?
Good.
Awesome unison, that was cute. You guys played a great set just now. It was fantastic recording it. We're in this amazing space in Culver City. I don't know, how do you feel? How is it to play A Fistful of Vinyl? This is not something I've ever considered myself.
Oh. How is it?
How is it? Yeah.
I was nervous.
Well, you told me a minute ago that no band should come from a long distance away, should come through LA and not play A Fistful of Vinyl.
Yeah, it's definitely something you have to do while you're on the West Coast. Well, I think. Because I guess, bands come through. All the bands that I love that roll through here do A Fistful of Vinyl. So I was like, we got to do it.
Okay, cool.
How was it? It was great. It wasn't I don't think it was nerve-wracking or anything until I played the last song because that one's scary. But every other one was, you guys are easy to work with.
Yeah, you guys are nice.
I try to keep it at least kind of relaxed.
Yeah.
I mean,
whenever there's a camera, I get nervous. That's
Yeah.
why. It wasn't the vibe.
Yeah.
that does happen with. There are a lot of bands that get nervous with a camera, both up and down, the how big the band is. So don't worry. I think that just makes you human. But I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about your songwriting, because there's so many. Listening to it, especially listening to it on the train, which is a very public space, a very engaged space in Los Angeles, it got me thinking a lot about the sort of human experience, and your music seems very autobiographical to me. And in a way, the level of specificity that you get into with your songwriting almost makes it more universal. You're singing about relationships that seem very real, and thoughts that whether flattering or petty or what, or just what you're experiencing at the time. So what makes you want to convert an experience that you've had into a song? How do you decide that this experience is something worth singing about?
Well, I guess I just write about what's going on in my life at the moment, whether it's good or bad, and it's really just comes down to whatever gives me emotions, because I use song as a way to process emotion and deal with them, because ever since I got sober 4.5 years ago, and I realized that up until that point in my life, to deal with feelings and emotions, I just get drunk about it or did drugs about it, and I didn't know how to do that, how to deal with emotions without those things. So song became a way for me to just process what was going on in my life without any kind of toxic way. And yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't know if it's a thought process. Sometimes I don't think I've ever really consciously been I'm going to write a song about this thing. It's more I just pick up my guitar and start playing and it comes out. It's very spontaneous, and a lot of the songs that sound so specific are that way because they are very specific, but it wasn't thought out in a way that was I'm going to sit down and write a song about XYZ. I listened, I woke up, exactly like the song says, I woke up and I wrote down a list of all the things that this person told me the day before, and then I just wrote a song about it. Then it took about an hour, and it was done. Same thing with Plate Glass and those other ones that are super emotional and autobiographical, like you said. All the things happened. They're true.
Do you write the lyrics yourself for all the songs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for the rest of the group then, how do you decide kind of what layers to contribute to that, or how to put your own personality into songs with lyrics written by somebody else about their own experiences?
I mean, I definitely, whenever Apes brings a song to the group, we play it and then we listen, and then I usually kind of we talk about it a lot, and I'll kind of sort of just play along and sort of do rough out things, and then say, what do you guys think of that? If there's a lot of really important lyrics.
It's okay if the dog makes it into the shot. It would actually add some charm.
Pebbles, it's all right.
Pebbles.
Pebbles, you want to come in? If it has a lot of really important lyrics that kind of need to be at the forefront, then I just know that I need to back off. And we also Dan and I kind of talk about doing
Focus.
Dan and I talk about taking solos and things like that. So it actually comes about pretty organically. We talk about it a little bit, but usually kind of all falls into place too.
I usually...
We try to compliment each other instead of all going at things at once.
Yeah. I feel I usually start off not just like listening. We all like listen to April play it once or twice, and I feel like I usually start off with like a clear idea of like, oh, I'm gonna sing harmonies on this part because that like jumped out at me, or I used to just sing the whole thing with her, and then kind of like from there like edit and delete the parts that I'm not gonna do. And April gives suggestions too, like I really want like gang vocals on this part, or like I really want you to do a harmony here. Yeah.
Sounds kind of like it's the combination of like, you know, what technically does the song need, and like in what ways can you sort of like empathize with like the tone or the subject matter of the song. And one of the lines that you had was, I would misquote it if I tried, but it was about it being easier to like sing about your actual emotions, your true emotions, to complete strangers.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the song "Strangers."
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's the line is it's about telling secrets to your
Strangers.
Yeah.
Best people.
Yeah, strangers are the best people to tell your secrets to. That was something that somebody told me like when I first moved to Lancaster and I got in recovery.
Yeah.
They told me that they tell all their secrets, their deepest secrets, to complete strangers because they'll never be judged about it. And I thought that was really cool. Put it in the song. I guess it's also kind of the idea of when I sing in a room full of people that I don't know, I'm telling them like deep things about yourself, but it doesn't feel personal because I just made it.
Does getting a little bit more notoriety as a band and becoming more well known within the scene, does that change the way that you write music?
I probably think a little bit more about like how will this be perceived, whereas when I first started writing songs in my bedroom, I didn't. I was just more writing whatever came to my head, and but now, yeah, I mean, I don't think about it too much. Still, I still write like a lot of songs. Like I've written so many songs that like nobody's ever heard. That's just like I write a song and I'm like, is this good enough for like people to hear? And then I decide like yes or no, and like maybe some of those songs get pulled out eventually. The last song that I played, Dear Mom, like is one that I wrote probably like 2 years ago at this point, and we've never played it as a band. I think Mollie's heard it once, Maddy's heard it once, Dan has heard it maybe once, even though we live together.
Are we the only recording of that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. That is what I was fishing for. So. Cool. So when you're deciding kind of the level of personal experience to put into songs, do you find that there's anything that you hold back, or you feel like reluctant, or maybe just not ready to share yet? Or is it an effort to be as completely transparent as you can be?
I don't think I hold anything back.
Well, I mean, part of the reason I ask is in hearing the way you sing, and you do something in common with one of my favorite lyricists. I don't know if you're familiar with Josh Richter. He's kind of folky, does very like narrative based music, but he's really good at acknowledging like human imperfection. So he sings a lot from like a character's perspective, and a lot of times over the course of the narrative, there'll be sort of like the fatal flaw structure where a character's like hubris or pride or pettiness or whatever will be kind of their undoing. It always makes it really fascinating because it's such a humanizing element, and that none of us are perfect. So I think that's almost easier to do on a fictional level than it is when you're the character in question. So yeah, I guess I'm saying I would totally understand holding some stuff back or it being sort of a process. Well, in that case, let me ask: Did it take a little while to get to the point where you could be totally transparent in what you were writing about?
No, because like I said, I got clean and then I was just using it. I never ever thought people would like listen to my songs, just from the first off the bat.
This is a pleasant surprise.
I started writing songs like in my room to play, and I was like working a program through NA at the time, and I had a sponsor, and she had a friend, and like I would play my songs for her, and she had a friend that was like did some recording, and she kind of like pushed me and was like, why don't you like record some of these? You should do it. And I was like, no, I don't know, I'm scared. She was like, do it. And then that guy was the one that convinced me that some of those songs were good and that like they should be heard and that maybe I should play shows and like start playing out, because at that point I was just really playing for like girls in the recovery house I lived with. I would play like covers Not really my songs, but some of them, like my early songs that are about like living in a recovery house, basically like all those like inside jokes and like that experience that's particularly relevant to like just getting out of rehab. I would like play those for fun with them, but he was the one who convinced me that I should like move beyond that and start playing shows, and he gave me my first show. And but yeah, so I mean it's always been like raw honest from the beginning. There's certain things that like I didn't open up about in song until like way later, like that song Dear Mom like is about my mom, and that's something that like hasn't really been revealed through song yet until that.
It's not about holding anything back, it's just about finding the right way to express it. How did you come to perform with these fine musicians?
So I was like playing around that same time that my friend was trying to push me to like do shows. I started going to open mics in Lancaster, and there Dan found me playing Wu-Tang covers on an acoustic guitar on a Tuesday night.
Sitting down on a Tuesday night, yeah.
You told me you don't play covers. I remember that.
So yeah, he was playing in a different local band.
Yeah.
At the time.
And then I heard the song Strangers, and you asked like a question if anybody knew how to play any crazy instruments or something like that.
Yeah, on the internet, right?
And on the internet. And I was like, I know a couple chords in the mandolin. And then you were like, what the hell is that?
I didn't know what it was. I had the idea at the time that I wanted to start like this giant Rail Yard Ghosts kind of band that had like a million instruments in it.
Yeah.
And then I slowly like realized how hard it is to like orchestrate that many instruments. So
4's good.
yeah. So then you.
Oh yeah, I was I'd been playing in like a Irish Celtic like punk covers band for a while, and
awesome.
yeah, it was fun, and I learned a lot from it. But I guess Dan had seen me like play, and I had seen April play. Like I'm always in like all sorts of various projects, and I had seen April play because we played a show together in different projects, and Dan was like, "Hey, do you want to give this a try? Like it's fun." I was like, I don't even know what folk punk is. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And I wasn't sure about it at first. But then I think actually Strangers was the one that got me too. Because yeah, the lyrics were really touching, and there was like, yeah, a lot of like feeling and emotion and like, and it was also like the ones that we just throw loud, like it was really fun to just kind of like be emotional and be like, I'm just gonna bang my strings as hard as possible, like, and April's cool with it. Okay, I'm into this. And then
Maddy.
yeah, I first met these three. We played a show together actually about 3 or 4 years ago in Baltimore, where I was living at the time, and I was doing like solo music. That was like very kind of weird, and I was like not doing well with my own drug problems, and I don't even like really remember making that connection of like, oh, this is like a sober like message from this band. But I remember the lyric about Tukwon Glen, and I was like, oh, it's like a nature preserve in our hometown in Lancaster. And so I was like, oh, like I'm from Lancaster, like why are you living there? And April and Dan like told me they lived together, and April went to rehab there, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I kind of forgot about it until I ended up in treatment, and I moved back to Lancaster, and the music therapist that April and I both worked with in our treatment center said like this band Apes of the State like plays sometimes, and like you should check them out. And I was like, I think like I've seen them before. And it was like a few days after I got out of rehab, y'all were playing like in Lancaster in like this like dive bar sort of venue, and
what was that?
Well, it was in the basement.
Yeah, it was.
It's with Bernard.
Oh,
yeah. And so I like went to that, and Bernard, the therapist, was also playing music, and so I was like, I want to go. I was like re-inspired to like play music again, and so I went and like they played the set, and I was so excited about it. And I like was really nervous, and I went up to April like, "Do you remember me? Like, I'm sober now, and I don't know what I'm doing. Can we be friends?" And so we started hanging out, and I started going to all their shows, and I just like asked if I could sing, because I knew all the lyrics already from just like seeing them play.
Can I ask you more about music therapy, or music as like kind of a form of healing and that sort of structure?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me more about that.
April,
That's not something I've ever
speak
experienced
on it.
before. Don't know much about.
So, well, the way I started playing music was that there was guitars just sitting in the treatment centers I went to. And I played when I was younger, but when I got older, it was something that I lost in my addiction. And so just having the guitar sitting there was really cool, because it inspired me to pick it up again. And then when we were in that treatment, I went to the same place as Maddy, but like a year or two apart or whatever. And they had a music therapist on staff that was this badass old dude named Bernard, that he said in his 50s he decided to like put the needle down and pick up a guitar and transform his life through music. And I thought, wow, if that guy's like 50 something and he could do that, I could do it. I'm only 24. So when I got out, I got a guitar and I started playing, and that's like my whole recovery has been like contingent on that, really, like using music as a form of therapy. And now I actually work doing music therapy in a rehab. I don't call myself like a music therapist because I'm not a therapist. I'm not like trained in it, and neither is the guy who like I learned from. We just are musicians that believe in music as like a unifying force and as like a healing thing. I believe that like musicians themselves can use music as a way to process their feelings and emotions, like just like I did, and especially in recovery, because it's a time when you're filled with emotions, things you've been suppressing for like years and years with drugs start coming out, and you have no way to express it. Some people like are artistic and they can use art or dance or whatever it is. Some people just can like talk with somebody. I'm not great at like talking one-on-one with people. I'd rather do that through song. So for me it worked. And me and Dan actually a couple of years ago started up a thing where we would fix up guitars and put them in rehabs too, just so that, because I think like just it being there is so important, because there might be somebody like me that had lost music along their path, and then they might see the guitar and pick it up. And I've also noticed from doing the work that I do, where I go into treatment centers and play, that it gets people unified and excited. Like you're all in this like crappy situation together where you're stuck in treatment, you're like being told what to do, and you're being asked to like talk about your feelings all day, and it sucks. But then somebody will pick up the guitar and play it, and you guys can sing a song together, and somebody will play Wonderwall. There's always somebody that knows how to play Wonderwall in a treatment center at any given time, or Wagon Wheel, and then it breaks the ice and like gets people hanging out and talking, and then next thing you know, there's like two guys that know how to play guitar, and there's two guitars, and then somebody knows how to sing harmonies, and like there's a band happening. It's beautiful and spontaneous, and I think it helps people heal.
It's wonderful. Well, you might have seen in some of the other interviews we started doing this thing. Do you know what this is?
Is that like Dragon Ball?
Dungeon
and Dragons.
This is a D20. So I have a list of questions that I usually encourage a band to roll this. One person or all of you can roll it, and it'll just correlate with whatever question comes up on that list.
Okay.
Who wants to go for it?
Dan does it.
Let's hit this. 15.
Pebbles says it should
Pebbles?
be
Wait, no,
5.
it's a 5. It's a 5.
She just saved your ass. We'll never know what that question 15 was.
Well, let's see.
You don't know that.
Oh, yeah, no, you're... What animal do you feel best embodies your spirit?
Is
this for all of us?
everyone?
Sure.
As a band or individually?
Well, there was another question I was planning on asking that I thought this was kind of funny. Like, if Apes of the State were like a recipe, what would be the individual ingredients of it? Isn't that fun?
Sugar and spice?
No, absolutely not.
I don't know. What kind of spice would you be? Salt. Bring the salt.
April's like the base. She's like the stock.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we could be a good. We could be
Salt
a
is
good
good though,
Think
because
of it
you
as like
enhance the
stew.
flavors of
I
everything
immediately
else.
Think
thought
of it-
soup.
think
It's
of it-
Yeah,
fortifying,
soup
yeah.
would be
Yeah,
good.
just think of it like a baked potato. You're like the potato. I'm cheese. You're butter.
I think I'm sour cream.
Okay, you can be sour.
Yeah.
Chives.
Lots of chives.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I like
Sprinkled on top.
I like lots of chives.
All right. I'm picturing the next album cover already. Well, I always love ending interviews with the idea of what music should we be listening to that maybe we haven't heard of yet, and what are you listening to right now? What's on your
Dog
playlist?
Tooth and Nail, Long Sought Rest, Robber's Roost,
Bird teeth.
Bird Teeth, Porch Cat,
First Fistful of Vinyl.
Shania Twain,
Dixie Chicks.
Dixie Chicks, yeah.
Rent Strike.
Rent Strike,
Rent
yes,
Strike.
we're so stoked about them.
We're
We're gonna forget everyone.
Hometown.
She, her, hers.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
she, hers, good one. Hometown homies. Sleepy Limbs.
Talk
and
Alliance.
Talk Alliance. Sun Not Yellow.
Some dude.
Who's that?
Is it an artist named Some Dude, or can you just not remember who it is?
Yeah.
Davey
no,
Dynamite.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, Davey Dynamite.
Those are our favorites.
One of my favorites. They're a little bit bigger, but Mannequin Pussy.
Okay.
They're really good.
Pigeon Pit. How can we
Pigeon
forget?
Yes.
Pit! Oh my gosh.
And Real Tree, the new project that's electric.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I heard that. It's so cool. Oh, that makes me want to record Pigeon Pit
Awake
again.
but still in bed.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Awake But Still in Bed.
Oh,
Awake
Awake
But-
But- yeah, we all have Awake But Still in Bed stuff. It's
Clothing.
awesome. They're great.
That's like enough to build like a good playlist. That was solid. You
Have
guys,
them
like,
all on there.
We have so many friends.
Yeah, we're really so many musicians.
Sorry if we
It's
forgot
awesome.
you guys.
Yeah.
I know we forgot a
It's a lot
friend.
of pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I don't know. I want to thank you guys again. This has been super fun. Thanks for working with us. This is the first time we've used this audio equipment. This is the first time we've recorded here. So thanks for being flexible. Thanks for being fun.
Thank you so much for doing this. This is really cool.
Christened the spot.
Yeah. Yeah, we got Culver Stage. That's good, right? It's got like a.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a Culver Stage.
That sounds like it existed before we got here,
That sounds
Definitely.
important.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we made it important. How do people find your music?
How?
Yeah.
Bandcamp.com/Apes Estate, Facebook/Apes Estate, Spotify Apes Estate.
And what are you guys doing next?
We're gonna go home. We're gonna survive the tour.
We're gonna go.
We're heading east from here, and then we're gonna go home and sleep a lot. And then we have a crazy ass holiday show that we throw every year at my house.
Oh, homies from that.
Homeless Gospel Choir, Awake But Still in Bed.
Yes.
On the water.
On the Water. Yeah,
On
they're
the
both
Water.
really
That's
badass.
super good.
That's who's playing this year. And then we're gonna we didn't book any shows until the spring. We're gonna hibernate for the winter and put out our next album hopefully in the spring. We're gonna record this winter.
Cool.
We made it a mission.
Very, very cool. Wonderful. Well, thank you guys again. This has been super fun. This is A Fistful of Vinyl. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Follow Apes of the State. Buy their music. And go see them next time they're in your town.
Buy us pizza.
And buy them pizza,
Yeah,
as
I
I'm
like
preparing to do.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome. Pizza.
It'll be Costco pizza. I'm not made of money. But,
Okay, it's fine. It's all right.
Pebbles.
but you get a lot for a little.
Pebbles, do you want to come say goodbye too? No.
She's in a gate.
Oh no.
Already moved on.
Yeah, she's like, I don't care about this anymore.
I don't come out of my trailer for less than 2 pizzas. All right, cool. Good interview.
Out of curiosity,
Thank
what
you.
was 15?
15 was.
Yeah, I just now I want to
It
know.
was. I think it was. What's the worst tattoo you've ever gotten?
Oh.
Or what's your favorite slang term? I sometimes do alternates based on. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you have any particularly bad ones? This could be good
Tattoos?
B-roll.
Bad tattoos.
Bad
The
tattoos.
best tattoo I ever got was we all got stick and pokes yesterday for our
yeah.
Oh, nice.
tour with
Mine
dog
was
teeth.
hiding.
Yeah.
I love that you just changed the question. The best tattoo. Best
Yeah.
tattoo. Nice.
I mean, it could be the worst because they're stick and pokes, so they're supposed to be bad.
That's a good stick and poke. It's very
But yeah.
stick and
Yeah,
poke.
actually though, like, yeah, Michael did a really, really good job.
Yeah, they came out awesome.
Yeah, Michael from Dog Tooth and Nail did
Cool.
them. Or did.
Yeah,
And then-
did ours.
yeah.
And I did the dog tooth kids.
Yeah,
He gives
it
you
was
pause.
fun.
God, I'm so sorry.
Ah, that was bad.
I'm gonna be a great dad All right, please tell me we're out of camera space and you didn't get that last part.
No, got it all.
Awesome. Good.
All right, let's go get pizza.
All right, yeah, please. Oh, you just got it good.
Oh my God. What did you tell her to do?
Master.
You're really better at getting her to listen than like
You're doing great. I have all the treats. Good girl. Oh.